What's the best advice that you can give to a student that's looking to start a business at school?
I think find out what you're passionate about, so what you really enjoy. Like if there's something that you really enjoy, could that become a business for you?
What are the plans for Wish Upon a Party in the future? And do you believe you'll set up any more businesses?
I would really like to take the business in the way of creating something really for the community now. So we've specialised in parties and events.
Were you a secondary school student again now? What type of business would you look to start and why?
It would have to be something creative, maybe helping small businesses with creating themed events for teens, because that's something that I'm...
Ask you, what's your dream?
My dream at the moment is to have some peace at home.
Hello and welcome to a special edition Kids Interview Entrepreneurs podcast. My name is Richard Layton. I work as the entrepreneur in residence within the Brett Centre for Entrepreneurship that's part of the University of Liverpool Management School. We're here in the Hive Youth Zone for this episode as part of the Startup Week that we are running here. Special thank you to the youth worker Spencer, who's helping and supporting us to run the Startup Week here in the Hive Youth Zone. We're here with our entrepreneur Ruth Rundle, who runs Wish Upon a Party, who's our founder, and we've also got our youngest participant ever in the podcast, little one here having a little sleep, which is fantastic. We have a number of young people asking our entrepreneurs the questions today, and they are Poppy, Vania, George, Eric, Jonathan, David and Tanvir. And I'll now hand it over to our young people to ask the entrepreneur our questions.
What does Wish Upon a Party do and how long have you run the business?
So Wish Upon a Party is an entertainment and events company. We provide character entertainment for children's parties, specifically with princesses, superheroes, pop star tributes and mascots. So I've started the business in March 2019, so that was a year before lockdown. So then it kind of paused for a little while while that happened, and then had a little relaunch, and then I've had my venue on Argyle Street for 3.5 years now.
Why did you decide to start Wish Upon a Party as opposed to running another type of business?
So Wish Upon a Party basically combined everything that I loved. I trained as an actor and worked in theatre and education in the UK. And then when I was in Australia, I was lucky enough to tour abroad in Australia, Spain and across the UK and Ireland. And when I was in Australia, sorry everyone. I worked as a children's entertainer out there, doing character entertainment as well as a nanny, and yeah, I just really enjoyed the job out there. So decided that rather than working for someone else when I got home, I wanted to do that myself. So I saved up my money from working 4 other jobs as a nanny and as a waitress in a restaurant, doing theatre and education. Saved up that money and bought my costumes and wigs and had them posted basically back to my mum's back in the UK, so that when I came home, my business was ready to go. So yeah, I really enjoyed it out in Australia and decided that I wanted to do it myself when I got back to the UK.
What were you like in secondary school and were you entrepreneurial as a student?
So I wouldn't say entrepreneurial. I don't think I even crossed my mind of running my own business at that age at all. I did really enjoy secondary school. I wasn't selling sweets in the playground or anything like that. But I worked hard, and yeah, I got my first paid acting job while I was at secondary school at a local farm. And there I'd led talks about the animals, performed as a mascot to children as a teddy bear, did Halloween events. So in the woods, made a lot of people jump, chasing people down with a chainsaw, no blade attached, don't worry. But yeah, that was my paid acting job at secondary school. And yeah, looking back, I don't think entrepreneurship's always about selling things. It's about having the initiative and ideas and confidence to try something. I was lucky that I did enjoy my school, and I was definitely supported with my drama teacher and my love for the arts.
What were your favourite subjects and what did you like best about school?
So I've mentioned already that definitely the arts. So I loved drama, English literature and art. I went to Hilbury High School in West Kirby. And I remember feeling quite defeated because a lot of my friends did go to the grammar school. They passed the 11 plus and I didn't. And I do think looking back that can knock young people's confidence, which I did feel personally myself. But Hilbury was the right place for me, and they had a really strong drama department, and that's where my passion for theatre really came out. So I think if you've got a good teacher in a subject, then your passion can really evolve in that. And I loved storytelling and performing, and I was drawn to subjects that were really creative. So I also loved like the extracurricular activities that Hilbury High School offered. I was lucky to do a bit of travelling with them and do my Duke of Edinburgh Award. And there we went to Morocco, which was like amazing. We did a 50-mile trek across the Atlas Mountains and sponsored an orphanage. So I think when your mind is kind of open to other cultures and other areas and other places, then you can really get a love of travel. And we did a lot of theatre trips down to London, and I was able to, go to the West End for the first time, be like, wow, people actually do this as a career, and you can make acting and get paid to act. So I think Hilbury kind of gave me that, really supported me in that dream.
What could school have done to encourage or support you and others into entrepreneurship and more?
So I definitely felt supported with my drama teacher, but I do have quite a strong memory of having a meeting with a careers advisor, and them saying, oh, what would you like to do? And I said, oh, we'd really like to be an actor. And I remember them coming back with, have you thought about hairdressing? And I was like, well, it's not really what I want to do. I've just told you I want to be an actor. I'm feeling a bit deflated and defeated that, oh, well, maybe I can't really make this into a career because I'm not from like a wealthy background, and maybe it's only wealthy people that go to drama school, and maybe that's why they've said it. But I was fortunate to have a drama teacher that was really kind of behind me and pushed me in that I was able to continue with that dream, really, and kind of go forwards with that. But ironically, I did end up working in a hairdresser only for a year as a salon help. But I was like, I remember getting the job and being like, oh, were they right? But they weren't. They were definitely wrong at that stage of my life. But but other things the school could have definitely done better, I'd say, and run more courses in is like money management. We're not taught at all in school like how to open a bank account, how you would have to apply for a mortgage, how to do a tax return, which when you're self-employed and especially running a business, you need to know. Eventually you might be able to employ an accountant, but in those first few years you won't have the money to really employ an accountant, so you need to be able to do those things for yourselves. And me starting out, I was like, oh my gosh, like what am I doing here? Like how do I register as a limited company? Like am I doing the right thing? Do I do a CIC? Do I do a limited company? Like there's so many different avenues that you can take, and that should really be explored at school and seen as a viable option for people to open your own business rather than just be pushed into a career of perhaps you're going to be a doctor or a teacher or a profession. Running a business can be a profession as well. Using like opportunities like this, using social media, how you use social media to run a business and using that as a platform. I don't think you don't have to be running like a tech. Oh, you don't have to be running like a tech startup to run a business. Like it can just be something that you love, and I think that should be really encouraged from school.
Did you go to sixth form and university after studying your GCSEs, and how did that help you develop your entrepreneurial skills?
Yeah, I did. I stayed on at Hilbury actually for sixth form. I explored a few other options, but ended up feeling really comfortable there. So I stayed there to do my my A-levels. And then after that, I went to Liverpool Community College to study performing arts in Liverpool for a year. And that was great, but I feel like even after that, I was like, oh, I really don't know what I want to do. I'm still like a bit lost and not really sure. So that's when I got a job in a hairdressing salon and worked there for a year and just explored different avenues really of what to do. And then I got a place at National Youth Theatre, which just really opened more avenues to me and actually, maybe I'm able to go to London and study, and maybe it is open to people like me from a working class background. It's not exclusively for the wealthy. So yeah, in doing that, I took a bit of a leap of faith and auditioned for a few drama schools and got into one called Fourth Monkey, which is a repertory training academy in London. So yeah, there I was lucky that I lived with my auntie and uncle for free, and worked 3 jobs to kind of pay for my way through drama school, and I did get a part bursary, because London's a very expensive city. But I was really, really lucky in that, and I really kind of pushed forward to make sure that I finished my course. Even giving out newspapers at 5 a.m. at the local tube station. So I think it was £10 an hour then, which was pretty good
That's
back
a lot,
then. It was
yeah.
a lot of money to give out newspapers, but yeah. So yeah, I did go to sixth form, not university, but I did a kind of a further educational course. Yeah.
What did you do before starting Wish Upon a Party? Did you work for anyone else or run any other businesses, and what did you learn?
Yeah, I've worked lots of different jobs, as you can probably tell so far. So my first job, as I mentioned, I worked on a farm doing theatre there, but dressing up as the Easter Bunny and all sorts of things like that. And then had a paper round, and then went on to work in a hairdressing salon. In London, I worked at a call centre, doing silver service work, as a nanny. Worked for a lot of other people, and then further to that, kind of in theatre education, touring around the UK and Australia and Spain. And I think working for other people, you realise what you really like working for other people, and some people treat you really well and you're like, oh, this is great. And some other jobs you learn what kind of boss you don't want to be and how you don't want to treat people. And yeah, I think I came out of it feeling that, I would actually really like to give it a go working for myself. And I think as an actor anyway, you are self-employed and you're constantly going from job to job. You're not kind of working for one person all the time. You have set contracts. You could be working a contract for a month, it could be 6 months, it could be 18 months, but you're always contracted. So I was kind of used to that nomadic life of working with different people. So it kind of led naturally into working for myself. What does it teach me? I think resilience after rejection. Especially when you go to auditions, you get used to having lots of knockbacks and not getting the job that you want, not getting the acting gig you want. So you do get used to being resilient, and if it doesn't work out first time, well, what's the worst that can happen? You just give it another go and just keep going. Self-discipline, being your own boss. Like, if you don't turn up to work, you don't get paid. If you've got bills to pay, you can't pay the bills. So yeah, you have to be disciplined, and that you're your own boss. You're your own. If you don't do it, then you're the only one to answer for, really. You've got no one else to blame. And yeah, confidence in speaking to people. Obviously theatre really helped with that, but when you're own business, you have to have lots of different hats. You have to be the person that's selling whatever you're selling. So for me, it's, selling parties, encouraging people to book parties. You have to do all the marketing behind it. Now I've got a venue, you have to be responsible for someone to come and empty your bins, or pay for the electricity. It's all the boring things that go on behind the scenes, as well as the face of the business. So yeah, it's taught me an awful lot, to be honest.
What's the best advice that you can give to a student that's looking to start a business at school?
I think find out what you're passionate about. So what you really enjoy. Like, if there's something that you really enjoy, could that become a business for you? Rather than thinking of business as kind of boring and you have to be sat behind a computer all day, or what for you is interesting. It might be that you are sat behind a computer all day, and that for you is you're doing coding, or you're creating websites, you're building something, you're designing something. Or it could be that you're really good at making jewellery, and could you make the jewellery that you've made into a business? I think there's such a vast range of businesses now that if you've got a passion, really try and go for it. What's the worst that can happen? Doesn't work, try again.
What are the plans for Wish Upon a Party in the future? And do you believe you'll set up any more businesses?
Obviously, at the moment, I'm on mat leave because I've got a little one, but I'm dipping my toe in. So I work with a wonderful team of 10 freelance performers. So they're carrying on the business while I'm off on maternity with this little one. But I would really like to take the business in the way of creating something really for the community now. So we've specialised in parties and events for the past 7 years, but now I really want to start something that's going to really give back to the community and be like a hub for the community where they can come and do workshops, do classes. So we're just about to launch our tween workshops, which is going to be a once a month workshop for that kind of in between stage from like 8 or 9 to 13, where you don't quite feel like a teenager, but you're looking for something else than just your regular classes that are on offer, and something where we can really grow people's confidence. So we're looking to do that with different art projects once a month. So that's the next avenue.
Were you a secondary school student again now? What type of business would you look to start and why?
So again, it would have to be something creative, but maybe helping small businesses with creating themed events for teens, because that's something that I'm kind of looking into myself now. And I think confidence with young people is really important, especially at the moment with social media that can be quite damaging to our mental health. So I think looking at something with young people and mental health for me would be something that I'd create.
As well as working hard, how much luck is involved in running a business?
I do think there's a lot of luck. I think you can make your own luck to some point. I think a lot of research is needed when you do kind of get further down the line into a business of actually like what costs are involved and what do I need. And that's when you can get your Excel sheets up and you can kind of look at business plans and everything like that is really important to create a business plan, so you've kind of got an idea of where your business will grow. Yeah, I do think there is some luck. You can't choose what's going to pop up next door. So I obviously run a party company, and then a year ago another party company opened next door. And there's some things in business you can't control. You can't control your competitors, but you can turn that into a collaboration instead, perhaps. So, yeah, maybe just looking at things with a positive but realistic eye, as well as a little bit of luck.
How do you manage the financial side of your business?
I do have an accountant now. The financial side of my business is not my strong point. And you've got to realise that, I think, running your business, what you are good at and what you're not good at. And I'm good at the creative side of creating events and making people happy and putting a smile on people's faces and having the ideas. But the financial side of things, I really dread, and it's something that you do have to do in business. So yeah, I now have an accountant and someone I can talk to about things, and yeah. So I think knowing your strengths is very important.
How did you start your business?
I think I've covered some of this so far. But yeah, so I started my business when I was in Australia, but I decided that it was what I wanted to do when I got back to the UK. And started my business just solely as myself. So I had about 10 princess costumes and 10 wigs in my bedroom, just boxes, which gradually grew bigger and bigger. So it was the year before we all went into lockdown that I launched and just started, but yeah, basically just advertising princess visits to houses, and then grew into children's birthday parties. And just before lockdown, I started princess and superhero parties. So that was me and my mate Joe. So he's a musician, so he would dress up as a Spider-Man and I'd be a princess. So we'd do a little double act. And it was just kind of growing, and then kind of lockdown hit. And when lockdown was happening, I lost all my work overnight, which was really, devastating. And you're like, oh gosh, what do I do now? So I partnered with a local cafe called the Quirky Cafe in Hoylake, and we delivered children's lunches to their doorsteps, but at the distance that you had to be at that time. And again, it was quite disheartening, because I remember contacting the Wirral Council and being like, oh, look, I'm doing this. My friend Kirsty's doing this down in Essex, and she's the local council down there are funding her to do it. Would you be interested in funding me? And they're like, no, you can't do that. You're not allowed to. So I remember just being like, oh, really deflated, like, oh no, I've just asked for funding and got a complete knockback. So then I had to look for other work during lockdown, and again, worked as a nanny and worked in a vet's, strangely enough, because owners weren't allowed to go into veterinary surgeries with their pets. They needed someone on site to basically take them from the outside of the vets inside and be that comfort for them when they were being seen. So I was that person at vets during lockdown. And then afterwards, I had to really relaunch my business, and yeah, it did feel like starting from scratch over again. But you can do it, and if you do launch your own business and you find like something like that does happen, or hopefully no, touch wood, other lockdowns. But if, something in an economy happens or something with family happens and you have to relaunch, like, you can do it if you really want to. It takes hard work, but you can. So yeah, that's how I launched my business.
If you could go back in time and start your business again with what you know now, what would you do differently?
I would make a proper business plan and have an idea of where I was going rather than kind of running in the dark with a passion but no real plan. I would have an accountant from day one rather than try and wing it myself. And I would... Oh, what's the third one? I'd be very aware of what everything's going to cost, right down to how much a bin collection will cost me every week, because it's a lot more than I thought. Yeah.
So we have a couple of closing traditions on the Kids Interview Entrepreneurs podcast. Our first closing tradition is to Simon Squibb you and ask you, what's your dream?
My dream at the moment is to have some peace at home. To keep like this is lovely and calm right now. It's not always like this. And to create a real community hub for the venue that I've got at the moment. I love what I've created so far, and I'm ready for that next phase, I suppose, of what we're doing at the Wish Upon a Party venue. So my dream is to, especially with mums and young people, I think from a parental perspective, I think a lot of more support for women is needed in the local area. So I'd really like to go down that avenue. And with young people's mental health, I'd really like to be more of a support for the community in that respect.
Yeah, you've got a really beautiful space, and it's really inviting, and it's accessible in its locality as well. So, and I bet the majority of your work tends to come on the weekends. So in the week, it's potentially not utilised as much as it could be. So putting on other activities for the community, bringing in people who maybe their kids aren't at school yet, so they can come in with those and they can learn and interact and engage with one another. It's a really great use of the space. You talked about managing finances and costs. Well, even if the space isn't technically being used in downtime, it's still costing you. So if you're able to facilitate and run some activities, even if it was, obviously if it's more for the community, you might be able to apply for some grants, for example.
Yeah, so I'm looking at creating
Arts Council or National Lottery.
Yeah, so I'm looking at creating a CIC alongside Wish Upon a Party to kind of enable me to do more for the community.
Yeah. And the really great thing about doing community work, quite often the difficult thing is actually engaging with the community and finding the people to help and support. But because you've already ran so much activity around birthdays and parties and celebrations already in the local area, you've already got really great connections with individuals, groups, communities and organisations. So you've built a really great foundation then to create even more additional social impact locally as well, which I think is brilliant. Our second closing tradition is to Stephen Bartlett you. So we've got a couple of packs of the Diary of a CEO conversation cards. I'll choose one. I'll do the closing question. Usually one of the young people does it, but we've had 2 questions each. So there's a first for me today of asking a question. So I'll choose one completely at random. We have no idea, and I've no idea what the difference between the 2 packs are as well. So we'll go for that one there. You have one last piece of work to do. What is that piece of work and why? And that's asked by Seth Rogan. He's very funny.
One last piece of work.
Yeah.
If I had one last piece of work to do, it would be to continue to support local actors in the community with their first job. So I'm very lucky that to work with kind of 10 freelance actors. A lot of them are at the start of their careers, and previous performers that we've worked on have gone to work at Disneyland Paris, in Tokyo, at Universal Studios, and I feel really lucky in that I've been part of their journey in getting there. Other performers have gone on to run their own businesses. One runs a really successful entertainment company in Bury in Manchester, doing similar to what I do, but in her hometown, because she was studying here at one of the drama schools in Liverpool. So being part of that journey is really, really nice, and I'd like to work with more young people to build their confidence, so that I can be like this. You know, that's what I guess you want as a young person yourself. You want someone to support you in your dream, and I was really lucky to have that at school.
Yeah.
And I think if I can be that person for some other young people before their career takes off, then that would be really nice. So I think one last piece of work to do would be to work with more actors collaboratively and help them in their confidence to go on with their dreams.
Yeah, because what you were saying earlier, I have a friend, she was an actor, and again, there are similarities with entrepreneurship around rejection, but actually I thought there was even more rejection in acting, especially because you can turn up and perform and be the best on the day, but for whatever reason, your hair's not quite right, or you know, maybe the costumes that you need to wear just don't quite sort of fit with your style or who you are. So there's a lot of factors that are out of your control, that you can even be the best performer on the day, but still not actually.
And you just have to let them go, because if it's out of your control, there's no point in getting disheartened about it, because you can't control it. But it does feel deflating, and it does feel like a constant knockback and constant rejection, and it's a hard industry. It's a really hard industry. And
the other thing from my knowledge on acting is very limited, but I believe you've maybe, in order to be part of certain professional bodies, you have to do certain amount of performances or hours across the year. So when I initially met with you and spoke about your business from a socially entrepreneurial perspective, I was like, wow, this is such a brilliant business, because there's lots of actors out there that want to perform that are getting lots of rejections, but equally they're going to need to do 2 or 3 jobs here or there and have flexibility, but you're giving them the opportunity to regulate, to boost their confidence, to put the time, energy and effort in to get that experience, to be around other like-minded individuals that are also going through similar things of trying to get part and growing their resilience, and if you can build a community and get the experience collectively, you can all help and support one another to move forward, and whether it's to go and do similar things like you sort of mentioned, or go abroad and act like you did initially, or go on to film theatre or television and other things like that. So I think it's just such a wonderful business and a wonderful performance that not only helps and supports individuals in the community and gives a lot of joy to local people and kids, and but equally it serves a really big social purpose of helping young actors build those foundations to move on and to go. And
perhaps with the CIC, there could be funding there to enable more young people to get into theatre, because like I found, being from a working class background, if you want to try and get an agent, even to get an agent to then get through the door, you have to have headshots, hundreds of pounds. You have to have a show reel, hundreds of pounds. You have to have a voice reel, hundreds of pounds. You have to be on Spotlight, which again, like you said, to be on Spotlight, you need to have those professional photographs, show reel, voice reel. But not only that, do you need to have professional credits? And to get professional credits is incredibly hard when you don't have an agent.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a vicious circle of, well, I can't get an agent because I don't have these things. But it's just, it's frustrating, and it's still, there is a lot of work being done to kind of, make it more accessible. But there's still a lot of work that needs to be done to make it accessible to people of all backgrounds and of all financial circumstance.
Yeah. And I'm sure you'll continue to do that and create more of an impact in the future. So thanks again to all our young people for asking our entrepreneur Ruth Rundle, founder of Wish Upon a Party, the questions today. We had Poppy, Vania, George, Eric, Jonathan, David and Tanvir. Thanks also to Jay for producing and helping us create the Kids Interview Entrepreneurs podcast. Thanks again for Spencer for helping us not only in today's session for the Kids Interview Entrepreneurs podcast, but across the Startup Week that we're holding in the Hive View Zone in Birkenhead. Thanks to all the young people as well, because this is in your spare time. You're giving up your spare time to learn about entrepreneurship. So I'm sort of really pleased that you've turned up this week, and really proud of you that you're using your spare time to develop your your creativity, your ability to innovate and be entrepreneurial in the future. Thanks again to Paul Brett for his support of the Brett Centre for Entrepreneurship. Also Sir Peter Rigby, that helps and supports the Enterprise Education in Secondary Schools programme, which the Startup Week is a little bit of a trial and a test and an offshoot from that, working within youth settings as opposed to secondary schools. And finally, thanks also to Bill Holroyd, who's very kindly supporting the work that we're doing with a couple of youth zones, not only the Hive in Birkenhead, but we're also going into the youth zone in Warrington in the Easter break as well to run another startup school. And last but not least, thank you for your time and attention. We hope you've enjoyed another episode of the Kids Interview Entrepreneurs podcast, and we look forward to seeing you in the future in another episode. Take care for now. Bye-bye.